It's the Morning Star Drive 117.8. You soaring up with sky, now's the time, don't delay. I'm sitting in my ride and it's time to fly. So let's realign, just listen and fill your mind.
Hey guys, how is it going? And welcome to the Morning Star Drive on 117.8. It is Monday, October 2nd, and so happy for you joining us. We are ready to start another day together with the Lord. So subscribe to us on YouTube, follow us on SoundCloud, and make sure to support us on Patreon. So today we have an exciting podcast for you. We have 2G Talks with Eddie Kwan, the Sunday Message Word Study, and of course commentaries, updates, and news on what is happening around the world in this history today. All right, everyone, how are you doing? Yes, it is a wonderful Monday again. We're starting a brand new week. I hope you guys enjoyed your weekend and the Sunday service. If you haven't yet, go ahead, leave a like and comment below to build our community. Just super happy for everyone joining us every weekday on the Morning Star Drive. So let's get up and support each other each and every day. This week's Sunday message, the title is God's Heart and My Heart. So we will get into it in the second segment for the Sunday message word study. So here I am, guys. I'm still in Atlanta, Georgia. Actually, I'm not in Atlanta. I'm in Athens, Georgia right now. So, it's right after Sunday service, and I'm recording at the church in front of the house. It's just tons of greenery around me. So if you guys don't know, this place is amazing and awesome. We are coming to the end of not just the entire event, but the soccer tournament, everything else. Just so many people here. It looks like maybe over 100 people here. Seeing everyone together and it just feels really amazing, right? Just to think that, even for me, I was thinking, man, if this was one church, like how different could each church be if you had that atmosphere like we have on these events? You know what I mean? Like you bring so many people together. It's such a huge thing. And when, people haven't seen each other in a long time, people are just enjoying each other's company. We're having barbecues, we're eating together. It's a different atmosphere that I really, really enjoy. Like I said, this is right after Sunday service. There's over 100 people here. They're everywhere around this place. But you might be wondering, how come you don't hear people in the background? Because I'm outside. I'm actually recording this outside. I am staring at trees. I'm staring at grass, staring at like a trampoline. I'm sitting at the front door of the church right now. So it's quite interesting. It's really serene and beautiful here. I really, really like it. But you guys know this church is huge. The building itself is actually a house, but it's actually the amount of land here is incredible. It's surrounded by fresh cut lawns. But how much? How big is the place? This place is 10 acres. And those of you guys don't know how much 10 acres is, it's 40,500 square meters. That's how huge the land is here. Athens, Georgia is where the best university is the best university in Georgia is here. And on top of that, for me, it's exciting because they have the number one college football team in the entire nation. So I'm excited to be in a place like this, but it's a very, very small college town. So I'm enjoying this a lot. And, I don't know what it is. I wish I could record like this every day. Because when I normally record, I'm inside my room. There's a wall in front of me. I have pillows and blankets and stuff to deaden the sound. But when I was checking the sound here right now too, the sound is not bad. I'm outdoors. I hear an airplane above me. I'm not sure if you guys hear it. There's about maybe 100 meters away. There's people walking to their cars. I'm on the other side of the everyone's basically on the other side, and I'm on the front side. And just super thankful to be able to participate in this amazing event. The church here in Georgia did an awesome job. Everything going smoothly. The land here is so big. We made a soccer field on the land, and we're doing the tournament on the church lands. Tell me how crazy that is, right? Sunday service done outdoors. The church building, which is originally a house, doesn't have a room that's big enough to fit 100 people. So we had service outdoors, and it's quite amazing. I think you guys will see the picture in the Provi news and stuff like that, but in the background, you're going to just see like a forest and trees, and it's really, really amazing. I think the only thing that was a little bit tough was it was just hot. Well, it wasn't super hot, but the sun was kind of blazing on your face the entire time for like 2 hours, right? During the service, we saw like 6 birds. I'm not going to say they're eagles because I'm not sure if they were eagles or not, but there's like 6 birds that are soaring in the air right behind us. Everything just feels so heavenly here. I love it here. It's really an amazing place. It feels like how could I say this? It feels like obviously it has that heavenly feel, so it's kind of like Wonmyeongdong, but obviously it's not Wonmyeongdong. You know, it doesn't have everything that it has, but because it's got so much nature, it's so natural, all the greenery and such, you do feel like when we had Sunday service, we were having Sunday service. It could be, you know, people might think, oh, you're on the grass lawn, you're in Wonmyeongdong kind of thing. Like that kind of feel is there. And it kind of reminds you of the past when Sunsin was doing these different types of, we'll have like retreats in Wonmyeongdong, and you'll see, it's like you're on the grass, the sun is blazing, everyone's wearing their hat and sunglasses, people have umbrellas and stuff like that too. It was just awesome. I loved it. I do. And I think for me, of course, the Sunday service was amazing. And one of the big things that I really enjoyed, which is one of the big highlights that I thought, was we had a barbecue last night at our Airbnb. And those of you guys who haven't seen our Airbnb, it's crazy huge. It's like a mansion. 8 bedrooms, 8 baths, ping pong table, pool table, a huge plot of land for that Airbnb too, like gigantic, what do you call it? Gigantic, like backyard, and they have like a place where you can have a barbecue and you could sit like 20 people and such. It was huge, right? And we had like a guy's barbecue last night. Just really fun, really fun. All the guys together eating and talking after playing soccer, just amazing feeling. And, you know, kind of the same subject came up with all the guys were sitting together. We're like talking, imagine like, you know, because we had 20 guys together. We're like, no, it was like 25. It was almost 30 guys. And we were saying like, imagine if we were all in the same church. Like how amazing would it be? Like how much you'd want to go to church. And just looking at the atmosphere, there's nothing forced. We're not like try to like say, oh, let's try to connect someone to Bible study. It's nothing like that. It's just natural. And we were talking like, man, if this was one church, we wouldn't even need to evangelize because like we would just invite people, hey, we got a barbecue at our house, come by kind of thing, right? And they would just be melted by the atmosphere of guys hanging out, joking, having fun, being in a chill environment. I thought it was amazing, right? And for me, having all those guys together, it just felt like a time where everyone was coming together, right? Just the feeling of having everyone in one place. It was so amazing. And I was like, man, can you imagine if this was actually one church? We were doing this together as one church. So I loved it. Like that barbecue for me was it. 30 guys, outdoors, barbecue grilling, hamburgers, hot dogs. And for those guys who don't know, if you're on my Instagram, so far I've had barbecue 3 out of the 4 days that I've been here in Georgia. Like it's a barbecue country, and man, was it tough today during Sunday service. It was tough. Like in the middle of Sunday service, I'm like, oh my gosh, I got a massive stomach. I had to go to the bathroom in the middle of Sunday service. So I did miss this small part in between, but I'm not used to this. I'm used to fruits and vegetables in the morning, having some like Korean food with like, like soup and stuff like that also, but I'm having meat, hamburgers and hot dogs every single day. It is taxing. It's good though. It's good atmosphere. Everything else is fun, but it's a tough thing to do for like 3 days, 3 out of 4 days. Right? So, I'm sure a lot of you guys are asking, like, how did the soccer tournament go? Well, day 1 is done. So the round robin, everyone played against each other. So everyone had 3 games. And today, after I record, we're going to have lunch, and then we have the semifinals. But after the first day, the final standings is Georgia came first, right? So Georgia came with 2 wins and 1 loss. So every win is 3 points. So that's 6 points they got. And then Houston comes in second. That's the team I'm playing for. That's 1 win and 2 ties. And then you have LA. LA finishes in third with 1 win, 1 tie, 1 loss, and then New York finishes in last. But we all go to the playoffs, right? So today, for me, if you guys are wondering, I have not scored a single goal. And I'm going to give you a reason for this. I'm not going to say it's an excuse, but I am playing defense for this team. I'm not playing forward this time. I'm on defense. So that's just that's why I'm not there to score goals. I'm there to defend. And they have some good players here too. So today we will be playing LA in the semifinals. So super looking forward to playing this game. If we win this, we automatically, if you win, we go to the finals. And the finals is whoever wins between Georgia and New York. So that should be quite interesting too, right? But I can sincerely say for this event here, the soccer, it's a soccer tournament, but it's definitely not the main part of the event. Meaning, it's not saying that they took away from the event. No, it's just the gathering of members after such a difficult year. You know what I mean? So comforting, relaxing, to be with everyone who remains, the strong in faith, that truly have that absolute mentality. And don't get me wrong, guys. When I say people who have the absolute mentality, I'm really saying that anyone who's made it to this point has that conviction to make it through. Yes, we could have had some ups and downs during this year, but we made it. And that's why we're the ones that are strong, because we made it to the end. And I think that's the most important part, is who remains in the end. Because if you think about it in the other way, if you have someone who's so strong and so good, evangelizing, do all these things, but in the end they leave, then what's the point, kind of thing, right? It doesn't do them any good. They failed in their individual salvation responsibilities. So, it's about who makes it in the end. In the end is what matters, right? Like all that what we go through, you don't want to ruin it by, dying at the end. So it was really amazing and awesome. I'm very, very happy and excited. And so that's something I'm just testifying about how amazing this event has been. Something that happened to me on Thursday. So last Thursday, I told you guys that I'm like, they're going to ask me to lecture. And you know what? I did. So I told you guys last week I should do it. So I did it. I lectured on Thursday night for newcomers. There's 2 newcomers there, or 3 newcomers at that time. And I'm going to tell you this. I went on an emotional roller coaster because I'm like, I don't want to do this. I haven't done this in a long time. How am I going to do? And it's so crazy because those of you guys who've lectured before, don't you guys go through that cycle of feelings like, oh my gosh, I'm so nervous. I'm so nervous before the lecture starts. And you get really nervous. And once you start, you're kind of like fumbling with your words in the beginning. But then as the lecture goes, you get better and better, right? And just to go through that cycle again, I was really excited about that. I was really cool, right? And I prepared by looking at some verses, things that I could talk about. And then I had this strong inspiration for the verse Matthew 13:13. That basically Jesus says, though hearing, they do not hear, though seeing, they do not perceive, right? And, I went through that verse and I was inspired by that. And I went into, I was supposed to teach Peter and the fish, but it turned into an intro to parables and it went really well. I was really happy with this too. So I think God was very happy that I was able to testify and teach last week, especially during that time. Right? Now, speaking of testimonies, we do have another testimony ready for you guys. I'm really excited about this, that this testimony, what do you call it? Not trend. This testimony, I guess this trend is starting. We have our next testimony coming out right now. And this is Vivian in Germany, but she's Singaporean. But, she'll go through her entire story during this. And she was really, really inspired to testify. And she's very, I guess, introverted, but she's a very private person. And, it's not easy for people to record these or to talk in front of a lot of people. But she felt convicted to testify for the Holy Spirit, especially after last week's Wednesday sermon. So I'm excited about this. So everyone, let's get into the testimony of the day. Please welcome Vivian, who's over there in Germany, and we'll listen to her testimony.
Hello, everyone. My name is Vivian, a Singaporean who has migrated to Germany years ago. The Holy Spirit has inflicted in my heart a desire to record this testimony, although I did not feel like doing it. Every time I put off the idea due to shyness, the desire is renewed. I was brought into this history by the grace of God this year through my beloved son and our sister in Singapore, Providence. I was a devoted Buddhist in my early years, And I became a Christian in May 2008 after I went through some tragic life experience. I desperately needed a savior during that time. I've enjoyed being a beloved child of God for the past 14 years. I was taught to focus on the Lord Jesus Christ only and have been warned against false teaching. I was skeptical when I first learned from my son about Providence teaching and Sansene. My son had received the Bible teaching when he was serving his national service in Singapore. It has transformed him to be a better person. I've been praying for Bible lessons for years, and my son received one while he was back in Singapore for only 2 years. I asked God to give me this opportunity too. Although I went through some Bible courses in my former faith, my spirit's vessel was not sufficiently filled. I have to keep my questions dormant. Finally, all the conditions were set up perfectly for me to receive the golden words of this time period. God has blessed me with a personal sabbatical leave starting in January 2023. On 1st January 2023, I started my first Bible lesson virtually. I completed the 30th lesson on 18 June. I wanted to share some of my realizations from this extraordinary period. Do I ever have doubts during the lessons, and how did I overcome it? Yes, of course, I have doubts along the way, because the teaching was not the same as what I used to hear in most churches. But before I let the doubt cripple me, I would pray first. I always pray that God would set my path straight and send His Holy Spirit to enlighten me, as well as not to be led to the wrong teachings. Since I prayed to receive Bible lessons and I have been given this opportunity, I was determined to empty my mind and to listen to the teachings attentively. Along the way, the words cut through all disbelief, and the Holy Spirit filled me with the right understanding. The enlightenment came progressively, and every time there was this peace in my heart that transcended my past understanding. Both knowledge and inspirations worked hand in hand, and I realized for the first time the meaning of being baptized in spirit and in truth. Was I affected by Sanseni scandals? I remember that at the beginning, my son appeared to be very secretive in reviewing the church and Sanseni name. I was skeptical, but my curiosity for the words surpassed the negative thoughts. I saw how my son has transformed spiritually, and I know in my heart that the teacher cannot be someone bad. In addition, God turned my witness to be good. I have difficulty remembering names, especially in a foreign language. Hence, I did not Google about the scandals and did not read a single piece of the news. I learned long ago that it is important to focus on the words and not on any human being, because no human is prophet. So what was the change after going through the lesson? Well, my spiritual realization resurrected after the lesson on the Trinity, Holy Son and the Holy Spirit. And my conviction for this history started after the history lesson. It was like being born again. In 2008, after my baptism, I felt like being freed from the chains that had bonded me for years. This time, the feeling is like a butterfly flying out of a cocoon. However, the enlightenment is just a beginning, as the deeper realization and understanding come continuously after that, as I prayed and repent further. Along the way, the Holy Spirit has been the one who assures me that I am on the right path. I know how much God and Lord Jesus love me through my past. And so I know deeply in my heart this new encounter must be good. I started to perceive things differently and could feel the hearts of the Trinity. I guess the crossing over from the New Testament to the complete Testament requires the confirmations by the Holy Spirit. For those outside of Korea, it is difficult to comprehend certain cultures, styles of teaching, and behavior. Despite all the differences of the cultures and the language, I'm able to accept the teachings of Providence 100%. So what would be the number one tip for anyone who is sharing the words or receiving the Bible lesson? Be absolutely open-minded and cast out any judgment through prayers. Ask the Holy Spirit to guide us. The Holy Spirit will surely help to break down the teaching that suits our state of mind. She can pacify our ego and clear our doubts. Do not give up halfway even if you have doubts. Keep on asking and praying. Sometimes the clarifications of the doubts may not be through the one who gives the lesson, but the answer will surely come as long as we continue to seek. Lastly, be patient with our own realizations and with the ones whom we are sharing the words with. There is no competition in the words and in the spirit. Let the Trinity guide and refine all of us individually. Thank you for listening, and may the Trinity bless you richly in wisdom. Amen.
And thank you, Vivian, for a wonderful testimony. I'm sure that many people are inspired by it. For all you guys out there, please leave a message of encouragement, of love for Vivian. It's not easy for her doing this. Even for me, it's not easy. I'm a super extrovert, but even for me doing a podcast at the very beginning, it was super difficult. Not sure, I'm not even sure what I was supposed to do. But a wonderful big thank you to Vivian, and I hope that everyone has received a lot of grace from God from that testimony too. All right. Right, I'm not sure if you guys can hear it right now, but there's like music playing in the background. There is music playing in the background, but I'm not sure if you guys can hear it because my mic is a directional mic, so it's in the background. But it's like a party's going on here, so I really, really enjoy this type of atmosphere. Today, they are going to have catering for lunch. And I am missing out on the festivities because I'm recording. Yay! Don't you guys feel so special that I'm doing this and missing my lunch, right? But, in the end, I had to sacrifice something. It's either I miss lunch or I miss the semifinals. And, I'd rather miss lunch than miss the semifinals, right? So I think it's worth it. And I'm thinking, I think to myself, this is something I'm thinking to myself, but it's kind of like me just thinking of, just off the top of my head. I'm thinking, I wonder if anyone's going to bring me lunch since I can't be there. But then, I was going to ask you guys, what do you guys think about? Do you think someone will bring me something or not? But actually, I don't think anyone will because I don't think anyone knows I'm recording here. And because they don't know I'm recording here, that's probably why no one's going to think oh, this is lunch for Sky. So, shed no tears for me, my friends. Said no tears for me. I am okay in the wilderness. And those of you guys, if you're on my Instagram, I already posted what my podcast, the view of my podcast is right now. It's really, really amazing. It is, guys. It is freaking crazy awesome where I'm at right now. It is a natural wonder. And if the grass, it all looks like the grass lawn in Wonmyeongdong. It's everywhere. It's awesome. So I am so thankful and grateful that I can be here and see this church, the land that Sunseam approved for the very first time. And I'm sure in the future, because it's so much land, I'm so sure that they can make an actual huge church building here too, where many people can come and park. There's so much room here. The parking lot is the grass. I'm looking at right now, how many cars in front of me? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22. There's 30 cars here. There's literally 30 cars here, right? And it takes up what? Not even a sixth of the land there is for 30 cars. So I'm just kind of giving you an idea of how big this place actually is, right? I'm just raving about this place. I'm gonna put some more pics and posts on my Instagram so you guys will see how big and amazing this place is. But it's awesome. It really, really is. All right. So that means let's get into our first break of the day. Yes, it might be a little bit shorter today only because I'm recording outside and, I am so tired. Like my age is showing. We played 3 games yesterday. I am exhausted. My whole body is like sore. But the thing that made me feel kind of good is that I'm not the only one. Even the young guys are kind of sore from yesterday too. When the old guys say they're sore, it's like, okay, that's normal. But when I hear young guys being sore, it makes me feel a little bit better. Either way. All right, so let's get into the first break of the day.
Yeah, rise up to the challenge, armed with the word in action, belt to the truth, fasten, shield of faith in one hand, sword of the spirit I'm slaying, no mercy I'm praying, everyone thinks I lost, but now I'm turning Super Saiyan, I gotta be new, gotta be great, I only gotta win this thing, fix the mistakes, fix who I am, all I wanna do is change, gotta be brave, gotta be tough, no more time for delaying, it's just training, all those times of pain, off, pushing my limits, only with God, I'm trying to be better, I'm trying to feel God, enemies watching, they want you to fall, but you have to be better, you have to give it your all, every day I make myself, but I know it's not easy, this is the life I chose and I know my spirit's breathing, the battle has only begun and I may take damage, but if I fall, I only know how to do one thing, rise up to the challenge, armed with the word in action, belt to the truth, fasten, shield of faith in one hand, sword of the spirit I'm slaying, no mercy I'm praying, everyone thinks I lost, but I'm turning Super Saiyan, I'm Goku turning Super Saiyan, I'm charged up, now I'm playing, on the mount like Sinai, I can live with God like Wi-Fi, you see the word always praying, spiritual path where I'm staying, everyone thinks I lost, but I'm always with him, so you know I'm prevailing, protecting myself from Satan, armed with the truth, now my angels will shoot like, now I'm at my truest form, I'm trying to really be the greatest, the power level can't contain it, my energy is never draining, look how far we have made it, unlocking levels never hesitated, there's no trying, you just do it or don't, so fix your thoughts instead, everybody makes mistakes, just gotta take notes, can afford to do it again, life is so easy, if you just do what is right and just follow what's real, victory comes through skill, gotta stay on course, time to kill. Now's the time to rise and shine, give it to the past and never forget, God is Lord, by your side, hold your hand, dry your eyes, trust in Lord every night and day, he'll never let you go, don't fall away, be bold, be brave, and with all your heart, love the Lord to the end of time, rise up to the challenge, armed with the word in action, held to the truth, fasten, shield of faith in one hand, sword of the spirit I'm slaying, no mercy I'm praying, everyone thinks I lost, but I'm turning Super Saiyan.
And there it is. That is the Sumney Boys with Rise Up. And the reason why I'm bringing this up is because I'm actually, the Sumney Boys are here. They're here. They're playing. I'm on the same team as the Sumney Boys. We're playing soccer together. It's really, really fun and awesome. But yeah, it's very, very cool. And I'm super grateful and thankful that we're all here together. But I wanted to bring that up. I play this song because the Sumney Boys are here not next to me at this moment, but we're playing together on the same team. They're, like I said, they're all eating their lunch together while I, not complaining, am recording this for all of you guys out there around the world. Okay, either way. So let's get into today's word study. And of course, every single Monday, we do have the Sunday message word study, and a very, very deep one, God's heart and my heart. And it just seems like not as of late, but we've kind of getting more the depth of God's Shimjung. After all these things are happening, I think one of the things that we're always wondering is like, what's God thinking? What's in God's thoughts? And we can only think what we think, like, oh, God must be angry, or God must be this, or God must be that. But in the end, we're like, yeah, what is God really thinking about what is happening right now? But I'm very, very thankful to God for the 2 messages. It was kind of like a 2-parter, right? The first one was about our thoughts, and the second one, what was the second one about? Let me just grab this here, just making sure I have it. About God's heart, right? God's heart and Sunsteam's heart too, right? So, and I thought it was really, really amazing because as the message was going on, I'm able to understand what is happening. Like I can reflect on what is happening in my life and what makes me understand it a lot better too, right? So let's get into it. We had like the head leader from Houston came to Georgia. Like they remember, there's like 100 people here, and she delivered the message. Pastor Amanda, she did an amazing job. So, and I felt like you can feel the heart and the power of God too when we were listening to the message also. All right. Either way, so let's get into the word study, Sunday message word study for this week. All right. So the first part is about our thoughts. And of course, that scripture, very famous scripture, we all know, Proverbs chapter 4, verse 23 is, guard your heart for it's the wellspring of life. Like everything flows from your heart. And this is something that we've learned how many times in Providence? How many times have we learned, your thoughts are life, right? Your thoughts control where you go, right? People live according to their thoughts. These are all Proverbs we've heard multiple times. And this first part of the Sunday message was about our thoughts. Right? Living, managing our thoughts and living according to God's thoughts and not our own. So that first question, I love it, especially when you have a lecturer that can kind of engage the listener with a great question in the beginning, right? And, the beginning part of it is talking about our life, living the course of your life. What is the most important thing that we need to know? Right? So you're like, oh, what is the most important thing that we need to know as we're living our life? And it's managing your heart. Because, that first question is like, oh, yeah, that's so true. What is the most important thing we need to know in the course of living our life? It's not what's the most important thing in life, right? Of course, the most important thing is our life with God, believing in God, believing in the one God sent. But the way it was formulated, it was, what is the most important thing we need to know in the course of living life? And it is to manage our hearts, to guard our hearts, right? Like if we want to live a life where we can manage ourselves without any issues, without any problems. What is it? We have to guard our heart, guard our thoughts, attentively manage ourselves each and every day, right? Because, like the proverb says, people live according to their thoughts, right? Guard your heart, for it's the wellspring of life. Guard your heart, for everything flows through it. You see, bad things happen. Why? Bad things happen in life, and I think one of the best analogies that we learn about how important the thoughts are, like Sansi talks about this all this time, is like you can do the exact same thing, and it all depends on the condition of your heart, how you'll take it. Because if you're in a good mood, you're fine. If you're in a bad mood, you're like miserable and you'll complain, even though it's the exact same thing that happens. And we've seen it happen all the time in our life, where there's something that happens, it's not a big deal. Why? Because life is good. But the exact same thing can happen, but so many bad things have just kind of like came on one on top of another that we are miserable. It's ridiculous kind of thing, right? And we have to realize, we have to realize this is something very, very important for all of us to realize too. Bad things happen, not because it's a bad thing. It's how we react to that thing that makes it it makes it bad or good. Because how many times have you seen amazing people, really positive, bad things happen, and they move forward, right? They move forward like, oh, okay, so this just happened? Okay, no problem. We've seen that many times. Now, here's the thing. If our hearts and thoughts, in the course of living our everyday life, right? If our thoughts, our hearts are the most important thing, then we realize why we need to love God with all our heart, soul, mind, and strength. But our heart is put in there, right? It is the greatest commandment. The greatest commandment, if you summed up all the entire Old Testament, 66 books in the New Testament. No, so it's 27 and 30, 27, 39. 39 books in the Old Testament, right? That it will be summed up in just love God and love your neighbor, but with all your heart. And this is something that we have to understand. We're not going to be able to live a life without regrets as long as our hearts are not right. right? That's reality. As long as our hearts are not in the right place, we are always going to be in that same position, and we're going to make a lot of regretful choices. Why? Because a lot of the times when our thoughts are wrong, our actions are wrong. A lot of the times when our thoughts are wrong, we get emotional, we make irrational decisions. We make mistakes and we have regrets. And I like this one thing that was in the message, and this, as funny as this sounds, this message was repeated over and over in the message, which means, and what is it? Do it again and again until it's done, which means repeat it. Keep doing it until it's done, right? And all the greatest works in history were made because they were done over and over and over again, right? The greatest work. What is the greatest work we can do for ourselves is to make yourself into a masterpiece by doing what? By doing it, making yourself over and over and over again, right? When we do any type of work, right? I would say we can understand where some of the message is coming from. And kind of like last week's message too, I think one of the big things that we are seeing is that God is, what's the right word? He's kind of like putting things back in the right track, right? What does that mean? Putting things back in the right track basically means that there were a lot of things that happened over the last 10 months, right? Over the last 10 months, tons of things were happening, good and bad, people making these choices, these mistakes, all these things are happening, right? However, the big thing is, and the problems that are happening, Sunseam is coming out in the message saying, this is wrong, this is wrong, this is right, this is wrong, right? But what I want to, one of the things that came up in this week's message is about not doing things on your own with your own thoughts. Many people kind of going off thinking they're doing things for the Lord, they're doing it on behalf of the Lord, but they've never discussed with Him, which is kind of crazy, right? It's kind of crazy to think someone's doing something for you, but they've never talked to you about what you really want or what you really want them to do. Isn't that crazy? Right? And we have to understand this is one of the big things Sunseam talks about all the time is discussion. Things must be done with discussion because our thoughts are different than everyone else's thoughts. It is, right? We have work. We don't even discuss, sometimes we have work to do. We have the things that we're entrusted with, and sometimes we don't even discuss among our leaders. And if we don't discuss, then we can't really be given better missions because we're not discussing and doing things the right and proper way, right? So, when I heard this, I was like, oh, this is me. It's when it's like older people center on themselves. I'm like, oh. And I thought to myself, God, how old are you talking about? Right? Older people center on themselves. And yeah, I can even see it in my life. And the whole reason why people begin to center on themselves is because they didn't guard their hearts. So their hearts weren't guarded. So what eventually happens is, people can get traumatized. People can get hurt. People get emotional. People have all these things that happen in their life. And through these experiences, if they don't guard their heart, what happens? They begin to become more let's be very, very, one of the things that's very clear about this is this. When someone gets too traumatized, they think more about themselves than others. They can't help it, right? Because they're trying to protect themselves. So they're no longer giving. They're no longer thinking about others. They think only about themselves, right? Which means it comes to a point, a lot of times people go through traumas is because they were too open about something. You know what I mean? They were too open about doing something. They're too open, and they kind of let their hearts be unguarded, and they get even more hurt than they actually should. Right? And one of the scary parts in the message is if you don't guard your heart, you eventually cross the line. And what happens? Satan gets you. Death comes to you. And that's why you have to guard your heart. Right? We can't just think any way that we want. We can't just say, oh, forget this. I'm just going to do this instead. Right? We have to be those that are far better. And far better means understanding and kind of what's that word? To admit? No, self-awareness. Yeah. To be self-aware, we don't have much information. We don't know them. We don't know a lot. And because we don't know a lot, what does that mean? We should listen to other people too. We have to listen to people. And this is very, very true. It could be us at times. And sometimes seems straight up. He's there are people like this in every church. Just stubborn and arrogant. And that's why everyone guard your heart. Guard your heart and do what? Don't just guard it. Guard it by receiving God's word. Now, how does that help you? Well, when you receive God's word, you know between right and wrong. When you receive God's word, you receive strength. When you receive God's words, you're able to, like when people say certain things, you're not going to be fooled by them, especially what happened during this time, in March, right? A lot of people were being fooled. Some were being fooled only in the beginning. But remember, where does Satan come? Even when it came to the fall, right? The fall happened. But how did Satan get Eve? Through the heart and thoughts. Right? Heart and thoughts first before the actual body. The moment we fail to guard our hearts, right, is the moment you cannot guard your life. Isn't that crazy? If you fail to guard your heart, you fail to guard your life. Right? That in itself should be a proverb. That should be a proverb. And I'm pretty sure that's probably one of the proverbs that Sunstein received. Right? So, yeah, it was really a deep message, and it's a very self-reflecting message. We would look at ourselves like, that's so true. That's so true. And, one of the things that I kind of got from it is when the message said, do you want peace? Do you really want peace? And people are like, of course we want peace. Why wouldn't we want peace? And it's, if you really want peace, conduct yourself well. And, I think the most important thing that we have to think about is, do you want to be noticed by God or people for the wrong things? And the answer is no. And there's a couple points here. Sometimes you're the only one that feels positive about something where the rest of the people feel negative. And people have to think about that. Have we been in that situation? For me, definitely yes. So we need to be those that are always praying. Is this God's heart? Is this you, Holy Spirit? Is this your heart? And then if we ask like this and then take action, this is when we're able to do things properly, do things better. This is when we're able to guard our hearts. We're not doing something that's like, oh no, that's the wrong thing to do. We cannot be consumed by our own thoughts. We have to be consumed by God's thoughts. So yeah, I'm very, very powerful message. And there's a couple stuff in there about choosing head leaders. I'm not sure if that's more about Korea, because I'm not sure if that happens in other countries where there's voting. Have you guys ever had voting before? I'm not sure. Have you guys voted for a head leader? I don't ever remember actually voting for a head leader I'm not sure yet, right? But yeah, people vote, I guess. But I haven't really seen it myself, so that's just kind of one of the things that maybe it's more because Korea is more advanced, right? And they have different systems for these types of things. But yeah, interesting one. Great. I like I really like the example of the first story, right? When something originally was developing Wolmyeongdong, he's saying I wanted to make concrete steps. We've heard this story before, 7 steps of concrete, and basically, God is like, no. Let me show you the real design, right? And then he was able to receive according to God's thoughts. And then it became the way it is today, right? So we have to do, this is the key point, guys. Everyone, make sure we all keep this in mind for this week's message. We have to do things after receiving God's thoughts, whether it's big or small. Everything that we do, it must be according to God's thoughts, according to God's heart, right? And we have to cast away all our own thinking, but we have to do it according to God's thoughts and God's heart. All right, that's the key point. Do everything, whether big or small, according to God's thoughts and God's heart. Okay, so we got to keep that in our head. Whatever it is, no matter how big, no matter how small, according to God's thoughts, according to the heart of God. All right, so that was a great, I like that first part of the message. Now, second part of the message is about God's heart and my heart. And this was it was a very profound analogy. He's like, the earth is spinning at 400 meters per second. So it's incredibly fast. And then the question is, can you feel it? And the answer is no. You look at the sky, you can't see that either. And the answer is, it's because it's so big. When something is so big, even if it's moving so fast, you cannot feel it. So in the same way, now everything from this point on in the message has to do with that. When something is too big, it's hard to see, it's hard to feel. Why is it so hard to feel God's love? Because the love is that big. It's that big. Right? The only time you really feel it is when something, isn't it kind of interesting too, like even with our parents, that you can't feel that great love when they sacrifice so much for their children to give them everything that they want, right? However, kids don't feel it. It's too big for them. So what do they feel? They feel it when some some uncle comes to the house and gives them a piece of candy. And that small piece of candy, they see love like, my favorite uncle ever, right? Because they see that small thing and they love these uncles, but they have no idea how big the love of their parents actually is, right? They don't know how big it is. People don't know how big it is when God says, I love you, right? They don't know. People don't know all the things Jesus does for us. People don't know all the things the Holy Trinity does for us. People don't know how much Sunseam is doing for us too. Like when you look at if something is so big and so vast, look at around you right now. When you're in a house, you see the walls, you know what the house is like. However, you go outside into like the desert, there is no ending to the land. You can't see where the water is. When you're in the middle of the Pacific Ocean, all you see is ocean for miles and miles. You're not even sure. Oh, sorry, not miles. So I'm in America right now, so everything's back to miles. You won't see it for kilometers and kilometers, right? And we have to be those that understand when something is that big, you cannot see it, right? You cannot feel it. And that's why a lot of times when you talk about the tide stopping, it's unbelievable because it's like, what? Really? But when you talk about Sunseam healing you individually or something where Sunseam gave out food to people, you're like, oh, wow, that's so amazing what Sunseam did. And you kind of look at that as bigger than the other stuff because it's harder to believe. So we have to be those that kind of take ourselves out of our own position because it's hard for us to see these big things. And even if you look at like things that big people do, like there's great people in the world. When you hear the stories and legends of people and what they've done, like these super uber successful people, it's unbelievable. It just sounds like it's fake. But that's the same as big people. Big people do things in big ways that small people who have done probably only a tenth of that would never, ever understand. Right? And it's kind of like when Sunseam says that other story that Sunseam's like, remember in the past, he's like telling people that, hey, guess what? Even though we're in a place that's only like 3 square meters, 10 square meters or whatever it is, in the future, we're going to have tens of thousands of people that will come. But people can't believe that. It's too hard. Tens of thousands. You have like 5 people right now. You're living in a tiny room. People can't believe it. What about Sunseam? Sunseam also said something to us when he came to visit us in LA in 1999. And he's like, shake my hand now because in the future there'll be so many people you cannot shake my hand. And guess what? It's already happened. Already happened. It's too big. Like it's so big, that dream, that prophecy is so big we cannot imagine it. Remember, Sunseam, there's a prophecy Sunseam said that we can't fathom it. When Sunseam says, oh yeah, in the future, Korea, the national religion of Korea will be Providence. And we're like, wait, no way. Because all we can see is the suffering we go through right now. All we can see is how much the country is against Providence right now that it's very, very difficult to see the future. So the question now is, how the message goes into, well, how are we able to see these great things and really comprehend them? And the answer is, it's through smaller things. For instance, God is so great and big, he sends Jesus, a body, a regular person. And Jesus teaches them little by little so that we can understand step by step. Look at the 30 lessons we learned from Sunstop, breaking perception. Looking at Peter and the fish and Elijah and the raven's food with symbolism and parables. And then we learned the parable lesson, and step by step we're learning one by one until our entire mind frame changes. And that's why when we were young, our faith was really young. We couldn't understand these great, like sometimes people come to Providence for the first time and they're so like out of it because like what is going on? Because they still need to grow and mature. It takes time. Jesus, Sunstein too confused. One of Sunstein's first stories was he went to the spiritual world and Jesus was teaching, but he couldn't understand a single thing Jesus was saying because it was all spiritual language. And as time went on, he's learning step by step, bit by bit, all the things Jesus was saying, right? It took time. It took time. Right? So, we have, big things. They're hard to believe because it's too large, and that's why it has to be broken down into small steps. And one of the big powerful things Sunstein talked about is like, guess what? Even God creating the entire universe and everything, even God creating everything. If human beings could live for billions of years and saw all the little things that God has done to create all the things right now, it'd be so believable because you saw everything step by step. But, it's like us. When we see successful people, we don't think they were unsuccessful before. We just look at them as, oh, they're so great. But a lot of people don't realize what they went through to become great. Right? They don't. So what do we have to do? It's hard to see big people, but in order for us to see it, we have to see all the little things they do each and every day. Take action together, right? Understand who is working with us. Understand who we should be working with. We can't ignore, we have to be those that understand how great this history is, but how much effort it took for us to get to this point. Right? That's the big thing. So how do we raise our level? And there's two things that the message told us. Guys, two things. Number one is study. Study first. And number two, repeat, repeat, repeat. And this is the way to raise your level. That's the way to raise your level. Now, there's a third thing that was spoken about, right? The third thing was what? To raise your level, the third thing that has to happen is examine in detail. That, I think, is a powerful step. It's those that examine the word that get deeper into it. Those that examine the word, examine people, examine life, examine land, examine all the things that are happening around us. It's those people that are able to go deeper into whatever it is. Examining rocks, you raise your level in rocks. Examining land, raise your level in land. Examining about basketball, football, soccer, whatever it is. And the more you examine, the better you get at it too. And once, this is something that's tried and true in the world today. The last thing I thought was really powerful was about wisdom, right? Wisdom. How great is wisdom? Wisdom is something that we look at and we're like, well, how can I become a wise person? And it is do that one thing over and over and over again until it is done. Repeat and take action on that single purpose until it is done. If it doesn't work, do it again. If it doesn't work, do it again and again and again until it's done. And then you'll achieve that point, right? That you kind of, through all that accumulation of knowledge and wisdom and experience, you reach that point then you become an expert at it. Just like Sunstein said, hey, if you're told to complete something perfectly in one shot, we don't even want to try. So we have to be those, right? What's the key point of that second message? Repeat by continuously raising your level. So don't just raise your level and stop. Repeat it again, raise it again. Repeat it, raising again. Keep taking action. Don't stop, right? Don't stop. And especially when it comes to our life of faith, the moment you stop your faith because there's tribulations, the moment you stop your faith because you're going through a difficult time, you know how hard it is to get it back? Like even for me, I had a hard time after the pandemic. I did. And that's why I have to move forward. Move forward. So I hope that all of us too will really take this week's message into account. Let's really pray together as we start our second 70-day prayer condition. Right? Or third, sorry, it's the third one, right? That goes to, I think, December 10th. So that's basically the message itself. Do it over and over again. 70-day prayer condition, and then the next 70-day prayer condition, and then the next 70-day prayer condition, and we're doing it over and over and over again. All right? Whew. Whew. So there it is, guys. That is today's word study. Hope you guys really enjoyed that, as I have very much enjoyed it too. Okay? So let's move into our second break of the day.
We believe in the same God, but we are on different levels.
Put your hands in the sky if you feel alive. All the stories that we made, just you and I. Never losing all the passion, ocean. Oh my gosh, this feeling got me heat stroke. His love like a billion pots about to heat though. I ain't never breaking from this bond, cause you and I are only one. If you ain't living with the Lord, then who you with? Who you with? If you ain't living with the Lord, then who you with? You with? You and get together with the Lord every day, all day. You and get together with the Lord all day, all day. You and get together with the Lord every day, all day. You and get together with the Lord all day, all day. Together with the Lord, I'm living my best life. Don't worry about a thing, you know it's only sunny life. We sing about memory stories that we share. We'll fall deeper in love as we stop and just stare. My eyes only on you, they sparkle with love. Don't forget my charm too. There will never be another. Live this life only for you. I give you this promise that I will hold true. If you ain't living with the Lord, then who you with? Who you with? If you ain't living with the Lord, then who you with? You with? You and get together with the Lord every day, all day. You and get together with the Lord all day, all day. You and get together with the Lord every day, all day. You and get together with the Lord all day, all day.
We believe in the same God, but we are on different levels.
All right, so here we are in the third and final segment of this wonderful Monday podcast. And yes, Eddie Kwan is actually here with us too. So he did do his recording for 2G Talks. It's kind of funny because we were like exhausted last night. We woke up early this morning to clean up the Airbnb and everything else. And he just recorded outside. So it's another outdoor recording over here in Athens, Georgia. Hope you guys will really enjoy it. Everyone, please welcome all the way over from San Francisco, who's currently in Athens, Georgia with me. This is Eddie Kwan with 2G Talks.
Good morning, everyone. Welcome to another segment of 2G Talks. This I don't know if you guys can hear any of the crickets or any of the wildlife outside, but I'm recording right outside of our accommodations here in Athens, Georgia. I'm sure Pastor Sky will talk about this too, maybe even throughout the week, but we're having our third annual AP soccer tournament, and yeah, it's been really amazing to say the least. And so I think from the perspective of a second generation, there were a couple of things that I really wanted to highlight, because I'm sure, as we said, that many other things will be shared from other people about the soccer tournament. But one thing that I really felt and as I was preparing for this too, is that because we're all together. It feels so different than when we're separate, right? And so, as you said, this is the third year that we're doing this, and I missed last year because I caught COVID. And the first year, it was in COVID, and then there was like a lot of crazy things that happened because of that. And but the thing that happened between all of these years is that really the level of the tournament and the gathering itself has really gone up. After each instance. The first time it was like all over the place, and we were just really happy to see each other after having been in lockdown for so long. And the second time I missed it, but and this is something that I'm really grateful for. But this time and last time actually, I was like kind of hesitant to go. And I understand everyone Shimjung too, because America's so big, so we're going to these places that are like far away, for me. I'm not the best soccer player, but then typically if I go, I have to play for one reason or the other. So I was like, oh my gosh, I don't know if I want to go. But then when we got here, man, like each of the previous years, the regions that have hosted this soccer tournament, they have gone miles above what may have been expected of them to organize and keep the event together. And so I could feel their heart for everyone and their sacrifice and the Trinity's will and plan for everything. Because the thing that I felt when we were playing yesterday, everyone was cheering super loudly, and we were really trying to cheer, like, not of course for our teams, and some people were more willing just to cheer for their team, but we're trying to cheer for everyone, right? Even for the opponents. But the purpose of that is like it wasn't just a soccer tournament, but we want to cheer on for all of us. Because at times when we go back home, we have to live our life of faith, sometimes in isolation. Right? Even if we do have other members, even if our family might be members or the people that we live with. Because one of the things that Pastor Sky mentioned yesterday, and many people have said similar things too, is that, man, it would be awesome if all of us could belong to the same church. In particular, we were talking about the guys, because after the soccer tournament, we got the guys gathered together at our accommodations from all of the regions to have barbecue together and to spend time together, and it was a really amazing time. And each person there had their own unique differences, and we of course saw a lot of commonalities, but that's the thing about gathering together with everyone who belongs to Providence, right? Is that we have these common traits because of the word, because of what we've learned, and because how we try to live. And sometimes and definitely in the world, you will not find people who live exactly as we do, right? And even when we're by ourselves, it's not bad, right, that we can't find people who live exactly like we do, because we understand why we do what we do. But just because we understand doesn't mean that we can, be content with that at all times. But to be in a place filled with members, knowing that each person, of course according to their uniqueness, but according to the word and according to how we know that we must fulfill the purpose of creation and God's purposes for us, is going through a similar path, right? The same path, but it might be a somewhat different journey according to the individual, right? And that's such a hopeful thing, because I know I've talked in recent history about some of the great books of the world that talks about some of these kind of things, about someone who believes in God, but about people who around them do not, right? And so even though they serve as a light and a hope to the world, people cannot understand, and people try not to understand, actually. And so of course that's not the reality of everything, but that was just how the book is written. But God is with the person who is looked down upon. And even people in the world, even though they cannot understand, they see and they feel that there's a power to this individual. But the reason why I bring that up is because the thought came that really, when we talk about being a hero of faith, right? Because that's a topic that's come up many times before, but I think being here was the first time where I kind of understood, right? Because it's kind of a unique and a stark contrast. Because before, when we're at home, we're all unique individual heroes of faith. But I didn't really get that when I was alone. But when we're together, it's as if all of these great heroes are gathering together and having I guess for lack of a better kind of easy comparison, it's like when the Avengers assemble, right? Each of them have their own movies in which they are at the center of going through whatever it is, and they are the ones facing the greatest trials, and their heroic qualities are shown. But here it's as if everyone was gathered together who had those unique qualities, and who was brought together for a common purpose and can understand each other in a way that no one else could understand them. And so I was really just happy to see that, and I think that was a realization, as I said, coming from the perspective of a second generation, that I would really want to emphasize, because I think this is something that, especially when you're young, when you get a bit more experience, it's no longer as difficult to navigate. But when you're young, it's easy to be discouraged by the fact that it feels like no one else in the world is living the way that you do. But when you're a bit more mature, then you realize it's completely black and white like that. and that, of course there are people who are looking in the world too, and not just that too, that it's not a bad thing that you are setting yourself up for a much higher purpose, and not just you, but that God and the Trinity are setting you up for a much higher purpose than other people, right? It's not a basis of comparison, but it's the fact that God is with you. And that was another topic that really came up throughout this week, and I'm really glad. I haven't listened to the message yet. It's Sunday morning for us right now as I'm recording this, but I saw the scripture was from Isaiah 55 verses 8 through 9, and time again I know that so many people are like, this is one of my favorite scriptures, right? Like this, that God's thoughts and his ways are higher than both our thoughts and our ways, and that's such an amazing thing, because we understand that is how God works. And when I was younger, even though I like basically understood that God was supposed to be with us in everything that we did, and in the time that the message would seem to answer or to address whatever was exactly in my heart, I understood it, but the understanding was skin deep, and for many reasons I couldn't make the full jump to show that, to see and to feel that God was with me in everything in that sense. But now, like, I've seen too many times, like just countless amount of times, especially in this format of the word answering exactly what we're going through. Like, I've seen that so many times. And of course, they work through so many other things, right? And now we focus on the Holy Spirit a lot now too, and we see, like, even as the Wednesday message and the Proverbs that came afterwards, the Holy Spirit works in even more subtle ways. And so we get the word that comes out every Sunday that deals with our position, and we get the Holy Spirit moving like a breeze through everything to kind of gently nudge everything into place so that it's perfect. And that's something that now I truly see. But even now, like, it's not something that we should take for granted, right? That oh yeah, of course God will be with us, right? So it's because it doesn't preclude our responsibility and the things that we have to do. But now I'm so thankful because I see what they're doing, and I acknowledge it, right, in the message. So I think because of that, at a certain point, like the gear shifted and the light switch flipped. When I understood that, wow, like this word is for me. And so, there's Sundays, like, when you're like young, and each of your churches, you might have this like young children who seem like they can't focus during the message. They're always falling asleep, and the parents or you guys may be trying to keep them awake. I also really pray that you guys don't wake them up in any sort of like really denigrating way, because that kind of stuff really sticks with kids, because it's like kind of public embarrassment, right? And kids hate public embarrassment, and it won't fix them. It'll make them like you less, and it'll make them like church less, and ultimately it may make them like God less, and that's not really the goal in the end, right? But anyways, that was just like an aside that I think is important. But to go back to the topic of understanding the word, there's still sometimes for me too where, like, of course I'm tired, and each of you guys have probably experienced it too. Like, we say that for service we need to prepare from Saturday, right? And that's something that we're feeling now, because we had that soccer tournament all day, and we were up not even super late last night, but we were up for a bit, and so everyone's feeling tired and stuff too. And it's a foreign environment because none of us have had service here. But that being said, now, regardless of those things, I try to pay so much attention to the message, because I see that it's dealing with me. And even after listening to the message once, I try to reread it as many times as I can throughout the week. And so I hope that each of us can continue to do those things. And for those outside of AP, and maybe for those who couldn't make it, right, who may have had reservations, or who had circumstances that didn't allow them to come in the future too, I really hope that each person and each region, each nation can continue to have these kind of events, because as we said, even for AP, this is our third year doing it annually, and it's really improved each and every single time. Right, it started from such humble origins. Like, if you saw the setup we had for the first soccer tournament, it was really like we were just having like a church level tournament, and that was fine too. But we experienced something amazing each time, and so this is something that I hope that all of the churches can have. because as a final note, right, like as we said, sometimes we go through our individual lives of faith, but there are times that we must assemble together and experiencing things kind of together and kind of like take the next step and acknowledging and understanding that everyone in Providence is going through the same thing, and they are on the same team as each of us. And so with this, I hope that you guys have a great week, and that I can't wait to see you guys next week. I'm actually with Pastor Sky now, so I hope that we have a lot of interesting conversations that fuel the rest of the MSD 117.8 segments, as well as 2G Talks for the following week. Thank you, guys.
And thank you so much, Eddie, for a wonderful episode of 2G Talks. We're in the exact same accommodations too. But yeah, it's there's actually not a lot of crickets and bugs you can hear where I am recording, but in our Airbnb, it was a little bit, I think it was a little bit noisier. Yeah, it was. There was a lot more bugs. And you could hear it in the background too, right? So thank you, Eddie, once again. Hope you guys really enjoyed it. If you have anything to comment or anything, go ahead, leave it for Eddie. I'm sure he's looking forward to your comments also. All right. Well, there it is, guys. That is the end of today's Monday podcast. Hope you guys will really enjoy it. Have an amazing and awesome time as I am. I'm still going to be here for the rest of the week. I'm going to be going back up to Atlanta tonight. And I'll see you guys again tomorrow on the Morning Star Drive on 117.8.
It's the Morning Star Drive 117.8. You soaring up with sky, now's the time, don't delay. I'm sitting in my ride and it's time to fly. So let's realign, just listen and fill your mind.
I'm burning with desire and the passion. Nobody can stop me when I'm